At some point, you have to realize like it's okay to slow down to go faster. Good founders, good CEOs always talk to themselves because they're running scenarios through your head.
Yeah.
And that's what I need. Like, dude, when you're kind of burnt out, you show up, but you're not really there 100%. The ideas that I come back with will get us 2x, 3x. Don't just take time off to take time off.
Yeah.
Take time off and take some time to actually ask yourself some questions.
Be intentional.
Yeah. You don't ask yourself what you want. You don't ask yourself, are you happy? You don't ask yourself like, what do you want to do that in 5 years, 10 years? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Winners Club podcast, where even when we don't win, we learn. And learning is a form of winning. I'm your host, Brian Tran. I got my co-host here, PJ Padua.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
It's a business podcast. It's a life podcast. And so today I want to talk about business and life and when to slow down, when to pick up, and when to just take a little mental break. So I just got back from Vietnam, 8 days of bliss. You know, I got to relax, sleep, no kids, no wife. And before anybody says anything about like, oh my God, you went without your kids. Before that, I took the kids to Portugal. I took them to Spain. We stayed in 5-star resorts. We stayed in 5-star hotels, ate 5-star dinners. And at the end of the day, it's a trip. It wasn't a vacation. So I'm trying to, I make sure to always take one for the family, one for myself. It's not selfish, because if I cannot take care of myself, I cannot take care of my family, right?
Yeah.
And so ultimately, even though I came back from Spain, I was like, dude, I'm not feeling refreshed. I'm not feeling rejuvenated.
Yeah.
My brain, the juices aren't flowing. And whenever this happens, I've been doing this long enough to know that, you can push through it. You can, right? But at some point, you have to realize like it's okay to slow down to go faster.
Yeah, for sure.
Because right now, like to give you an analogy of like the car, I was coasting at 65. Is that fast? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Are we still moving forward? Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm tired,
Yeah.
right? And so by taking that break and going back to 0 or 15 miles and just letting the engine rest and kind of coast a little bit even slower, I'm able to kind of like enjoy the scenery, take it in, think, right? Get the creative juice flowing. And then now that I'm back after my little hiatus, I'm going at 120 miles an hour,
Yeah.
right? I'm making up for more than the time lost. And not to mention, I'm enjoying it and I'm doing it at a more higher frequency,
Yeah.
right? And so that's really what today's episode's about. And I actually had a conversation with 2 of the team members today. And I'd say, hey, look, you guys have been going really hard. And, at the sales meeting, I'm telling people to go, 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 push, push, push.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to the newer people.
Yeah.
The people that are just getting in, that haven't put in their time, their dues, the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
But for some of my more OGs on the team, I'm telling them like, hey, it's okay to take 1 to 2 days off a week.
Yeah.
To kind of refresh, because what's happened sometimes is that, yes, you show up every day. Yes, you push it every day. But sometimes when you're kind of burnt out, you show up, but you're not really there 100%.
Yeah.
And so you're not closing the deals. You're not like performing at your best. So by taking that day, you can show up and actually like be there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people kind of like are like, you show up, you go to an event, but you're not talking to anybody.
Yeah.
Right? And so you come back and you say, I went to a networking event.
Yeah.
But you didn't really have meaningful conversations
Yeah.
because mentally you were just kind of drained. You're depleted.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the today's topic was, is like, take some time for yourself. Now, I took an 8-day trip because I can. Financially, I can.
Yeah.
And, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, I know that the company will run without me for like 10 days.
Yeah.
Right? But earlier, like, let's say in my 20s when I was still building, I used to take time off. I never took days off.
Okay.
Okay? So there's things that you can do, and that's a strategy that I used to employ. I used to take Fridays off. I used to call it F around Fridays.
Yeah.
Because I would work Saturdays and Sundays. So I tell you guys need an F around Friday.
Yeah.
Or mess around Mondays.
Yeah. Or a Twinkle Thursday.
Yeah, there you go. No, I don't know about that.
What's wrong with Twinkle Thursday?
Mess around Mondays or F around Fridays. Okay.
All right, whatever, Brian.
Okay. No,
so, for sure.
Yeah. It basically just gives you time to reset.
Okay. Well, let me ask the question first before you
Sure.
answer. Like, what do you get from kind of pulling back, slowing down, and allowing time for yourself? What does that do?
Like when I'm working and I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm pouring myself into the team, right? I'm pouring myself into the business. And sometimes you get when you do that, you kind of start working in the business and not on the business.
Dude.
And so sometimes when you take that step back, you can work on the business because then now you give yourself time to think about it.
Yeah.
And
what do you mean? Give me some examples of what you mean by like working on the business.
So for example, like right now, like we're trying to take the company, well, let's just choose one of the companies that I run. Okay. So like 50 Hills Real Estate. Okay. We're trying to go from 100 million to 300 million.
Yeah.
And so while I'm here, I'm like trying to make sure all the agents are like producing more.
Yeah.
You know, like helping them with their actual problems, going over contracts, things that are like important, but not like, it's not going to like get us there. It's not going to 3X the business.
Yeah. It's not like CEO visionary level type of like push it
and
forward.
so like, but while I was gone, I'm like, okay, well, what do we need? Okay. So I'm like, we need to expand. We need to grow the team. We need to hire more agents. So how do we do that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, we got to put out more content. We got to be able to hire like more, like another person for like you working for 50 Hills, which is like basically focusing more on the social media to get the message out there, to get the vibe out there, to attract.
Exactly.
Right. So that's one form. And I was like, okay, when I was gone, I was like, I thought about that. I was like, how do we get to where we are today? Well, I used to go to all these events. People like the vibe, they like the energy, they come.
Yeah.
Okay, but how do we magnify that?
Yeah.
Okay, and now I'm like, okay, well, we gotta really double down on the social media.
Yeah.
So that's like a way of thinking like bigger.
Yeah.
Because I think that like focusing on that and coming up with that idea is gonna really help us 2x or at least 1.5x the business.
Well, like let's say you were not, right? You didn't think of that idea and you were just, again, helping people with contracts, helping people with like their listings, their open house, giving them ideas. Do you think that would push the company?
It does push the company, but it doesn't. It will not push the company fast enough.
Exactly.
The multiple of that action is probably like 0.5.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, the ideas that I come with that I come back with will get us 2x, 3x,
exactly,
300% returns,
right? Which is, you know, in conclusion, why it's important to
like a real life example. When I'm here, like I'm too busy in the business where I'm not actually like able to sit down and think about, okay, is that person the right person for the role?
Sure.
As a CEO, as a founder, you have to think about that. Like you have to be like, is that person? Am I utilizing that person to the max?
Yeah.
You know. And because I'm working in the business, I'm not able to ask myself those questions and therefore like run the scenario.
Yeah.
Right. And I talk to myself a lot. I think most good founders, good CEOs always talk to themselves because they're running scenarios through your head.
Yeah.
And that's what I need. Like, dude, here I try to think. I try to take some time to like talk. And the next thing you know, somebody comes in the office and then I'm putting out a fire. Or I'm at home and I'm trying to have alone time. My kids come up to me and ask me to play with them. Like my mind is constantly being disrupted.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good to that's why they say meditation is great.
Yeah.
And the reason why meditation is great is because it's quiet and you can have a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And come up with ideas internally.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we have coaches, we have mentors, and they're guiding us. But sometimes you need to spend some time with yourself so you know what questions to ask your mentors, ask the coach, ask the consultant.
Exactly.
So that's why it's important. Like, and every time I leave and I come back, you know it. I come back fired up like crazy.
Yeah, you're yelling at us
because I'm ready to get back to work, and I've had time to think about stuff.
Exactly.
But when you're here and you're going through the business or in the business, you know, you can't just blurt stuff out because like you haven't really given it any thought.
Exactly.
And then that's when sometimes you can cause a lot of drama within the company.
Yeah.
Like, but when I come back from my vacations, I'm like, I've already thought through like the next 5 steps.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Or what kind of backlash I'm gonna get by doing this.
Yeah. I mean, also too, it's realistically in a chaotic environment, it is impossible to do like quote unquote creative thinking or think for yourself or have literally 30 minutes where you could sit on an idea, kind of play the pieces out. Like you do need to do it like separately.
Yep.
It's not you have to do it either in the morning at home or at night or however you do it, go for a jog. But it is important to have that time for like critical thinking.
Yep. And the other thing is sometimes it's good to break the routine. I'm very routine oriented. When I'm here, when I'm like back home in the States, I wake up at the same time. I typically eat almost the same thing every day.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the office at a certain time. I work out at the same time. Like it's kind of like you become a robot. And so sometimes it's good to just, hey, I just slept.
Yeah, for sure.
I had no alarm.
For sure.
And I just slept and I had no agenda on the day and it's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the next thing becomes just kind of branching off from this topic. It's the same topic, but branching off is like, showing up at 100%.
Yeah.
Or 110%.
Yeah.
You have to kind of have that realization that, being burnt out is kind of normal.
Yeah, for sure. In this space, yeah.
Yeah, and so like, you show up and you're like, man, I should have said this.
Yeah.
Or, I wasn't really, I kind of had that brain fart.
Yeah.
Like that's usually me. Like when I start having a lot of brain farts, I'm like, dude,
yeah,
that means I'm working
hella meetings.
Too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. I need to take a break.
Yeah, for sure.
That's me. Think these other gurus are gonna be like, oh my God, there's no such thing as burnout. Bullshit, bro.
Yeah, no, there is.
If you do what you love, there's no burnout. Nobody loves 100% of the business.
Yeah.
I love sales. Doesn't mean I want to do it all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I love showing up on camera with high energy. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's always real energy.
Yeah.
Right. But shout out to Sunset Drip, our sponsors for the podcast,
let's go.
providing me this little extra kick today.
Yes, sir.
That's what I mean. So but that's why sometimes pull back.
Yeah.
Pull back, take the break, and then take the next day. Boom, show up good.
No, for sure, man. I love that. I'm gonna just put my 2 cents in. I think everybody, in a sense, needs the creative thinking because everybody needs to have a vision, right? Have a vision in their head. And I feel like there's kind of 2 types of people, right? There's like the visionaries and like the planners, right? And realistically, you always need kind of like that
Both.
balance, right? Like when you're too much in routine, you're too much into planning mode, it's probably a hint that you need to pull back and then do some visioning to what's going to push the thing forward. And if you're doing too much visioning and daydreaming and nothing's getting done, well, you got to kick into planning mode. So I think using that as like a thermostat kind of to be like, damn, like, well, I'm just moving and like there's no real goals. We need to set a goal and we need a vision cast so we can know where to go in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, and another tip I want to give you guys, don't just take time off to take time off.
Yeah.
Take time off and take some time to actually ask yourself some questions.
Be intentional.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I always ask myself is like, what's next?
Yeah.
What are you doing today?
Yeah.
What do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? And let me tell you why this is so important, guys. Like, so I don't really sell real estate anymore, right? I'm not really a salesperson. Do I still sell when I need to? Yeah. If a friend wants to buy a property or a referral asks for me and specifically me, I will go out there and put my sales cap on.
Yeah.
But I came to that realization about 3 years ago. I said, it's time to evolve. It's time to grow. And that came about actually on vacation. I was able to sit down and actually just run through the scenario and say, like, I think I'm going to get out of the sales space. I'm going to get out of the real estate sales space, like as a realtor.
Yeah.
Right. And at the time, some of the biggest challenges were, man, I'm going to take a hit on my income because during that time, the bulk of my income was from selling real estate,
Yeah.
couple $100,000 easily. But I said, you know what? We're going to evolve. We're going to build out some of the other businesses that we had.
Yeah.
And I mean, lo and behold, it's the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I were still selling real estate, I wouldn't have the time freedom that I have today.
Yeah, for sure.
I would still be very much trading time for money.
Yeah.
Right. Today, it's more like I trade time, ideas for money. And then now we built out the company so that they run without me.
Yeah.
That's the true beauty. But none of that would have happened if I didn't slow down to speed up.
Exactly.
Today, I make more money than I've ever made as a realtor.
Yeah.
And that's all because I took 1 step back, 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've always been pretty fortunate to talk to myself.
Yeah. Me too.
Like, dude, I'm my own best friend.
Me too. I love myself, bro. I'd marry myself.
Give yourself a hug. Give yourself a hug. Yo, for real. But
no, straight up.
And I think sometimes people don't do that enough. Like, you don't ask yourself what you want. You don't ask yourself, are you happy? You don't ask yourself, like, what do you want to do that in 5 years, 10 years?
You know what? Honestly, like, everybody listen to this right now, whether that's in your car, the next thing you do after this podcast, have an actual, like, out loud conversation with yourself. Like, yo, like, what do I want? And then tell yourself out loud, like, you know what? I want to become a famous influencer. Go do that. Like, you do need to have these conversations because these thoughts are trapped inside your head. Say it out loud. Say it out loud and do some exercise, you know?
So that's the message today on the podcast. I don't really have much else to add other than, like, dude, I think a couple years ago, like, I would have been like, don't take days off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm like, dude, take some time off.
No, for sure,
But
man.
ask yourself, did you earn it? Because if you you know,
if it's only like your third week in business, it's
exactly like go work a little harder.
Chill, yeah.
Take this with a grain of salt, but I think you do need some time for yourself.
Yeah,
always
for sure. Damn, man, that was a good podcast. I like that. I forgot what I was gonna say, but
I think we'll just end it there, guys.
I think so.
So, with that being said, guys, share this with 5 friends. Appreciate you guys. A little short banger for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Just my 2 cents. Like, again, this is a business podcast, but a lot of it is just my own personal experience of what I'm going through and what's been kind of working for me in my time in my life. So, give it a try. Let me know if it works. If it does, comment down below. Yes, and if you don't agree, go watch Andy Elliott.
yeah, for real. All right, guys. Peace.
All right.
Peace.